Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pixel Classroom podcast. It is a wonderful, amazing book review today. I haven't had a book review in a couple of months. It's great to really do it. We're going to talk about making an impact outside the classroom, a complete guide to the exciting job possibilities for educator by Starr Sackstein. And I hope everybody is listening. As you know, I am Ryan Reed, the host of the Pixel Classroom podcast, and today I'm doing my nice little book review of this series here. I've known Star for quite a little bit. I just recently had her on my podcast a few episodes ago here, and I had talked to her a little bit connection here about if any questions. I was really happy to get this book. I wanted to get it earlier in the year, despite my things with switching positions and districts. So I thought it'd be a really good time to do this one. So I'm going to, of course, go ahead and talk about the book here as big thing. So right here, as you can see, and nicely tabbed. So I really did like this. Star really kind of came in a little bit about the history and also talking about the different types of pieces about what happens in the classroom, what happens to a lot of teachers and a few ones when they've been teaching either, a couple of years or several years and about wanting to move on to the role. I know one of the things that was big with me when I was at my at Meridian Student District is I'd been there 5 years and I had finished my doctorate and I had tenure. But it got to the point to where I felt like I was in a box. I was hoping to move on. I was hugely onto the instructional roles at that time. And that's pretty much my two things I always talked about. Something she always talks about right here in one of the books about writing up your own description of your ideal job you want to have. And whether that's what you have now or what you're looking towards, about a really good way to write that up to do it, your goals and everything. And I really like how that part of the book really worked in here too. I like the fact that how she drinks is up. She talks about definitely about looking at surveys and pieces here as well as your different roles. But I really like little pieces on here too, as you can see in the video versus the audio version here about the different areas here, like right here where she breaks down position, like the principal, what is their role? What are their responsibilities? What's the assistant principal? Do you think really goes into then goes everything from elementary school to private to college? A lot of people don't understand how like college roles, like what is a dean of students? What is a mission expert and so forth? What is the difference between, an adjacent professor or a professor with on tenure or a tenure track? It really brings in some very interesting aspects of this, but I really like how she talks about, what your goals are, what you're seeing for burnout, her own personal experience in it as well too. I mean, going back to my original talk about why I left Meridian District was how that was. And there was a focus. I mean, there was thing for instructional coaches, math and reading. And just before COVID and during and just post, I was basically unofficial instructional technology coach. And believe it or not, my first full-time job as a technology coordinator, that basically is an instructional coach role. I wasn't certified yet. I was able to do teaching practice as well as best practice for teachers. But one of the goals was they were the experts in the room, and I was to encourage or help them with those technology pieces. And that was a role I really fell into, even though I really loved it. And it was always what I wanted to go into here too. And I really do like that she also talks about the frequently asked questions, such as what is, should change and whether you need to have additional degrees through fascinating case studies and a few other ones. And she really goes into the different things about taking risks, networking, preparing for interviews. I really, really did like how she talked about some of the pieces in here about when she did conferences, something I always never understood. And I have to say, Star put this in the thing as well as some other people who did too, is I know a lot of teachers and professionals, including administrators and principals, that just it felt like they could always go to a conference. Like somehow they would get the time off and they could just go into it, no worries, whatever. Meanwhile, me, it was always a push and struggle. I mean, one of my previous schools, they were always sending the instructional coach or some of the head teachers to these conferences like in California or Arizona. And I was like, Ryan, we'll send you there. And then after I became a technology director at Jackson, I was supposed to go to a couple conferences I really want to go to. One was supposed to be in San Francisco. Another one was actually supposed to be in Florida. Another one was in Maine. And I supposedly was supposed to go there. I had written up, I was running thing for good areas. And then no. Why no? Don't understand. They just didn't seem to have a priority all of a sudden. I know when I was doing the ones PDs at Meridian, speaking of which too, there were a couple that came up when we did it. There's only one that we ever got denied was because we were such a lack of subs that day. There just was no way me and a couple of our teachers could be out the day. And luckily it was local. It was like a 20-minute drive from the district for me because I live closer to where it was being done at. It was a 12-minute drive. So it wasn't like it was impacting like, oh, I get to cancel something that's 3 hours away. It was more like, oh, okay, I can live with that. And also I found out it really didn't add too much as I found out too. So, it is, but it is interesting how she has put that in perspective. She talked about some things, even legal means of how that worked with everything and how administration can have a piece on that. I mean, there's nothing really vulgar or anything else to worry about, but I just really, really enjoy how she just puts it into this context. I'm actually writing up one right now too. I've decided, as people heard me in my 2 previous episodes, I'm going to finally try writing the Pixel Classroom book about pixels and everything I've done for some of my pieces in the classroom, especially after what's happened in the last year for me, for my previous teaching district, as well as what's happened the last few months going to being a middle school teacher, that I just felt that it is time to do it. Even though I have no publisher or anything else too, I'm just going to start writing this. In fact, I started outlining by hand the other day in my journal, and I'm probably going to write up a page or two here later today after this is done recording. But there really is the piece that really hit me on this right here, and I bookmarked it, was a really good examples of about what the response. I mean, one thing she breaks down in all these books is about what is the responsibilities, what are the benefits and outcome, what are the pros and cons. I really do like how this is. Like I said in the live stream, you can see me doing a couple of the pieces here too. But I like that too, like activities like, you visit teacher, pedagogy, you allow teachers thing, pros, offer work model thing, help align school vision. Cons is, sometimes they can get over. Sometimes they're going to be pushed back against your expertise or not being on the problems. And I really like that. It just really is about being functional, whether you're still teaching full time or if you've decided to step away from education or just do it part time. And Starr really just puts a lot of this in a great thing. I couldn't put the book down. I mean, I really can. When I have a good book, I it's hard for me to go put it down. That's why I can go through so many books. And some books where I find interesting, but that's not the okay. I've read 2 chapters. I'm going to put it down. Means I've got enough information, and I'm just kind of moved, not bored with the book, but I'm just like I've gotten enough in for today, and I'm just going to put it down and relax it. Versus a book you're into, where as they say, you can't put it down. You want to keep reading chapter versus like, I got to use the bathroom. It's time for dinner. It's bedtime. I got to put the book down. This is one of those books. So Starr did a wonderful, wonderful job with this, and I'm really glad it was. It's going to it gets a full review. I can't review on Amazon or other things because of some issues, but it was a great book. I'm really happy about it. And if you want to see it, definitely check out her website there for Starr Sackstein, as well as check out her other previous books that she has out there. It's really good. And Starr, well done on this book. I really enjoyed it, but I really do like the point is taking the big thing is like, look at what role you're in. What is your ideal role? Are you happy? Are you taking risks? Is there pros and cons of this? And does it fit, who you are, your passions, and what you want to do? And I think that's the one thing I really took from this book. It really did show me about where I wanted to be, where I thought I would be by now, and where I still want to go, and everything else. There's comfort, as I said, but as I've said in previous seasons on my podcast, every time I got comfortable in the role, something kind of would go out of control. So I've got a thing where it's like there is a point where you want to be stable, and there's a point where you want to be happy with what you do and still find passion, as you say, instead of going through the motions. So Starr, thank you for putting that out. Great job on this. If anybody else likes this, think about liking and subscribing for our future episodes. And if you want to know more of me too, as I break out down some other things in the next couple of weeks, definitely check me out at Blue Sky at Ryan7Reed. On that note, everybody, I am going to call it over here today. So thank you so much for this today. And I hope everybody has a good rest of the week. Talk to you soon.